I'm at the movie theater to see The Marvels. We're headed in, and coming up, we're going to have a review of the film. Watch out for spoilers up next on this video from Bronzeville Comics. Hey there, panelologists. This is Jim from Bronzeville Comics coming to you with another video. A little bit of a different one this time. We are going to do a review of The Marvels. I just got back from the movie. Before we get started, like, comment, subscribe, all that great stuff. Follow us on other social medias, Instagram, Bronzeville_comics, on Whatnot, Bronzeville_comics. If you've not yet tried Whatnot, there is a link in the description of this video that will get you $10 off your first purchase. It doesn't have to be with me. I do sales on Whatnot every Monday night at 10 p.m. Eastern Time. And coming up on Monday, November 13th at 10 p.m. Eastern Time, all war books. Nothing but war books, high grade, early 60s, even late 50s war comics, mostly DC. But there's going to be a really broad selection of books. And so you might want to check that out. And then also follow us in the description. There's also a link to my eBay store, as well as my what is it? Email. Yeah, you can email me. Yeah, it's late because I went to a 10 o'clock show. So I went to the movie. Before I get into the spoilers, and there will be spoilers, just the brief synopsis that's spoiler free is there are parts of the movie I loved and there were parts that I did not, and I think there were tonal shifts that were handled a little bit awkwardly. There could have been a little more time spent on developing the characters and the relationships amongst them and cutting out some of the sillier stuff. So there will be spoilers. So if you have not yet seen the film, stop now. There are going to be spoilers. They're going to be spoilers. They're going to be spoilers. Yep. Spoilers. And yes, indeed, there will be spoilers. So be prepared for spoilers. So let's go through the movie and break down kind of what I liked and what I didn't. So the movie begins, and we're not sure what we're looking at. It's something in space, and there's we see kind of a doomed solar system, and we find out that that is the home planet of the Kree Empire, the planet of Hala, and the planet is borderline unlivable, and the sun is almost gone out. The problems on the planet, I don't know what's happened with the sun, were because 30 years ago, Carol Danvers destroyed the Supreme Intelligence, the artificial intelligence that was running the planet. And the planet erupted into chaos, and they blame her, the Annihilator, as the Kree call her. But really their own faults because they couldn't get along. And I don't know what happened to the sun. Wouldn't matter if everything was fine anyway. If the sun is going out, the sun's going out. But it wasn't clear if that had anything to do with the Civil War. So our antagonist, Dar-Ben, who is played by Zoe Ashton, is trying to find the mythical quantum bands. And they pull up a tomb. She shatters it with her destroyer, whatever they call the hammer that she has, and finds one of the quantum bands, but not the other. Now, we've seen the Ms. Marvel TV show. At least I have. If you've seen it, you know that she has the other one. So that's where kind of the connection comes into play. So the quantum band that Dar-Ben is able to acquire helps her use these jump points, which has kind of been established in Guardians of the Galaxy, these hexagonal-shaped openings in the space-time continuum that allow for kind of intergalactic travel. So we then come to Earth, and Nick Fury is working with Carol Danvers, Captain Marvel, who is somewhere else in space, and Monica Rambeau, who's working with Fury on the Saber space station to figure out what's happening, because they know there are these disruptions in the jump points, and Rambeau is in a spacesuit, goes to investigate. As she investigates, and we're cutting back and forth between what's going on with Carol Danvers, what's going on with Monica Rambeau, and also Kamala Khan. And we kind of are at the end of the Ms. Marvel TV series, right at the post-credit sequence, where they all change places. And we found out, and it's pretty clear from the trailers, that there's this quantum entanglement when they use their light powers and they constantly trade places. So at the beginning of the film, it sets up some action sequences. It's used for a little bit of comic effect. A lot of those scenes were seen in the trailer, and they keep going back and forth and ending up in the problems that the other one has. You know, Carol Danvers is all of a sudden in a teenager's bedroom and like comes downstairs, and her parents are a little confused as to why Captain Marvel's coming downstairs. And they use some of the same familial dynamics with Kamala and her parents, which was really the heart of the Ms. Marvel TV show, and that worked up to a point. So when they have the quantum entanglement, Goose, the Flurkin, who gave Nick Fury his eye patch, is with Captain Marvel, and they're fighting the Kree. And then when they get switched, all of a sudden Kamala is there, not realizing where she is, and the Kree are attacking her. And there was a scene in the trailer where the Flurkin go out and swallow 2 of the Kree. Well, when the Flurkin and Kamala go back to Jersey City, the Flurkin spits out these 2 Kree warriors into the Khan household. And somehow Kamala's parents are not immediately killed by the Kree warriors. It seems like they're able to fight them off with, like, I don't know, a mop and a couch pillow or something, which is unrealistic. And it kind of leads into this whole segment where her parents and her brother are used far too much in the movie. And I'll talk about a little bit more of that later. So they establish the quantum entanglement, and they decide they're going to team up. Meanwhile, Dar-Ben is attacking the planet Tarmax, which is a Skrull refugee colony, which also brings to mind, since they're on the Saber space station, where is Vara? The wife of Nick Fury, who we saw going off with Nick at the end of Secret Invasion, is nowhere to be seen. I mean, we think that she would have been aboard the space station with him, right? But there are no Kree there. Did she go back to a Kree homeworld? It's very unclear. She's not even mentioned at all, which kind of they dropped the ball there, considering the fact that they did connect to other aspects of the MCU. So Dar-Ben wants the atmosphere. The atmosphere on the Kree homeworld of Hala has been destroyed, so she wants to steal the atmosphere from this planet. So she opens up one of these jump points, see the hexagons open up, and begins sucking the atmosphere in, destroying the entire area, trying to get the Skrull. The 3 Marvels are trying to get the Skrull aboard these spaceships to evacuate the planet. They are not able to save everybody, which is, I think, difficult for Kamala to accept. As they've decided they're going to team up and work together because they kind of have to, it seems for the safety of Kamala's parents and brother, her family, that Nick Fury brings them aboard the Saber space station. Fine. So they're up there, and they're thrust into the middle of the action. So they realize that the next place that Dar-Ben is going to attack is the planet of Aladana, which is more than 99% water, and it's very peculiar in that the only way that the inhabitants communicate is through song. Now, this was actually from Marvel Comics. Lila Cheney, who I believe was a member of the New Mutants way back, and has also been associated with Dazzler. She's not in this at all. But she was betrothed to the Prince of Aladana, and in the comics, they all speak in rhyme. Here, they all speak in song. And it's Carol Danvers, who is betrothed, and I think is actually married to the prince. Darben shows up, opens up the jump points, starts siphoning off the water to replenish the water that's no longer on Hala. There's some fighting ensues. Somehow, like, the prince gives Kamala Khan a sash for her costume, and somehow using that sash, she's able to like fight seasoned warriors. So the inhabitants of Aladana are fighting back, but the Marvels have to flee, and it's kind of left that the planet is destroyed, and the entire civilization is wiped from the face of the universe, and we never really talk about it again, including like somebody who she had some sort of relationship. She said it was like for diplomatic reasons, but now as it was, I talked about the tonal shifts. That scene was a little bit silly, and it was, I don't know, it was kind of halfway between cringy and funny, and I'm not sure which. I was just kind of scratching my head because it was so different. And I think the problem was when you set up this kind of more lighthearted aspect to it, this little musical piece in the middle of the show, and Brie Larson sings and she dances with the prince, and then Darben attacks and they go into fight mode, then she flees and the planet's destroyed. So you have this levity of these characters who are all singing and dancing and colorfully dressed, and then they are all demolished and the planet is destroyed. At least we think so. There's nothing, it seems like she got the water and then she was going for Earth's sun. Now, in the meantime, when they're aboard Danvers' spaceship, she uses this Kree device that she's trying to use to help reestablish the memories that she had lost in the first Captain Marvel film. And all three of them tried to do it because Kamala had seen some schematics. I think that's how they know they were going to Aladana. Some schematics on a view screen when she was on the spaceship of Darben. And the whole thing is, by Darben opening these portals, these jump points to just kind of recklessly, it's weakening all of the jump points and potentially causing the universe to be destroyed. So that's really what they're battling, more so than the antagonist herself. So they're unlocking the memories, and they start unlocking memories of Carol and her relationship with Maria. Now, in WandaVision, it was established that Monica Rambeau was not too happy with Carol Danvers. She had been a young child in the Captain Marvel movie, was very close to Carol, and then when the name is brought up in WandaVision, she's like, I don't want to talk about that now. And then Nick Fury talks about it, that, guys got to have a meeting and come to a peace. She goes, now is not the time. And then we get a little bit more of that fleshed out. I would have liked to see a little bit more, but there's a flashback to the point in time because Monica was blipped. And we discovered that was that in WandaVision? I guess so. She was at her mother's bedside in the hospital when Maria was dying of cancer. She gets blipped, comes back in the hospital, and her mother's been dead. We find out that Carol had returned home and kind of, knew that, met with Maria, knew that Maria was dying, and agreed to take care of the cat. And I guess if Monica came back, look out for her. So, because obviously they were trying to figure out how to undo the snap at that time. So, and then there's a scene where Carol opens up about the fact that she caused this unintended destruction of the Kree homeworld and was trying to fix that. So she really couldn't come home, but the little kid, whose Aunt Carol had left, said she'd be back soon, and she was heartbroken. And they did kind of have amends. I think that could have been fleshed out more, and really kind of had a little bit more depth to the relationship between the two. And then, so it kind of sets up the final battle. Now, the sword, it's not sword, it's saber. The saber space station is compromised, and they need to flee, but there aren't enough escape pods for everyone. So Nick Fury's like, well, get as many people you can, get everybody else here. And it turns out that Goose the cat / Flurkin has had kittens. They're these little like egg pods, and all these kitten Flurkins serve as the ability to swallow crew members of the Saber space station, which they're terrified by, and so they're trying to like herd the cats. And there's like fires breaking out, and some of the last folks on the last escape pod with all the Flurkins are Kamala's family. Now, I'm sorry, but if you have civilians aboard, shouldn't they have been in the first escape pods? They shouldn't be the last one standing to get everybody else off the ship, right? This middle-aged couple from Jersey City shouldn't be able to hold off Kree warriors. They shouldn't be the last ones, cleaning up the mess on the space station that they're not even working on. Like there's a fire, they're trying to put it out. Take care of them. They just had, I love the characters. They were great in the TV show. They were wonderful in the first act of this film, but just too much of them. And it was too cute. And then they're hurting all the cats. It was kind of funny, and then they're playing a song from Cats, and it was like you're just kind of looking, are they serious about this? It was kind of humorous, but almost in an unintentional way, sort of like, I don't know, you were watching Cats. I don't think it was that bad. I haven't seen Cats. I have not yet subjected myself to that. So it sets up the final big climax where they have to fight Dar-Ben. It looks like they've defeated Dar-Ben, but, she's ruthless and doesn't care if she's going to destroy the universe, just wants the Kree homeworld. They eventually, she gets too much power, turns to dust, but now there's this rip in the space-time continuum that's leading to another existence. So Monica theorizes, well, if you both give me power, I can channel it and then close the portal. But she's on the other side of the portal. Okay. And she closes the portal, but she's on the other side. When the portal closes, she's gone. And they mourn her. But we know she's not gone because, if you read Justice League back in 1972, 1973, Red Tornado did the exact same thing. Right? He helped save Earth 2 from the Nebula Man. Everybody thought he was dead, but he went through a rip in the space-time continuum and ended up on Earth 1 and joined the Justice League. Just like Kamala Khan's family is all over the place helping her out, just like Jaime Reyes' family in Blue Beetle. We've seen it before. So the everything's fixed, and then Carol Danvers agrees to go back to the Hala solar system and use her power to reignite the sun. Nobody had thought of that before. And everybody moves on, and there's a before credit scene and a mid credit scene. In the before credit scene, we see the door to an apartment. There's some glass. We see a shadow, and people reacted, I think, more slowly than I did when I saw a shadow of like a quiver and a bow. It was obviously Kate Bishop, and Kamala is waiting in her apartment and uses a version of Nick Fury's speech to Iron Man in the post-credit sequence of the original Iron Man about forming a team, because she's probably seen the movie. How would she have known what Nick Fury said? Anyway, she says she's going to form a team. Now, will that team be Young Avengers, or will it be the Champions? I think Young Avengers makes more sense just because of the branding from Marvel, and people have been speculating about Young Avengers forever. Because we've introduced a bunch of young heroes. And Kamala basically says, yeah, there are other young heroes. We have Billy and Tommy, Wiccan and Speed somewhere. They're more in the multiverse. Patriot is around. And actually, she did mention Ant-Man has a daughter. And then there are even younger ones, right? There's Morgan Stark, who is still a young child, single digits. There is Love, right? The daughter of Gore the God Butcher is being raised by Thor. She's still in elementary school, and there is Phi Lavelle, who's working with Guardians of the Galaxy. But I think that is something they're going to put together this younger generation of heroes. We have Patriot, who's the grandson of Isaiah Bradley, who we've seen the character, but not as a superhero just yet. And then there's a post-credit scene, because we knew Monica Rambeau was there. She wakes up in a hospital bed, and her mother's there. And she's like, oh, my mom, I'm so good to see you. And her mother's like, who are you? And then we hear a familiar voice, and it's Kelsey Grammer, not as Frasier, but as the Beast, all in CGI. Kind of looked like the Pip the Troll CGI. And he references Charles. And then as Maria Rambeau says, well, we're going to need to find out who this person is. She doesn't know. She didn't have a daughter in this reality. She stands up and she's dressed as Binary. Those of you not familiar with Binary, in the comic books, Carol Danvers originally wasn't a superhero. She was kind of almost a quasi-romantic interest to the original Captain Marvel, Marvel, who was a Kree warrior, whose name in the comics was Walter Lawson. Basically, they used the same character in the original Captain Marvel film, played by Annette Bening, who was Wendy Lawson. She eventually takes over the mantle as Ms. Marvel. Captain Marvel dies of cancer. But Ms. Marvel goes through a number of changes. Rogue, when she's still a supervillain, siphons off her powers and most of her memories. And then there's a whole weird thing where she gets impregnated by a demon. Oh, it's so hard to keep track. She's kidnapped by a character, Marcus, who rapes and impregnates her. And then she gives birth to the guy who just impregnated her. And then he's supposed to be the son of Immortus, but isn't he his own son? It's very confusing. That's before Rogue attacks her and takes her powers. Then she does get powers back, and she takes on the Binary persona. And in one of the X-Men Cosmic Adventures, and then she becomes Warbird later on and comes back as Ms. Marvel and Captain Marvel. Very convoluted character history. But the Binary character was on the cover of first appearance in X-Men 164, and obviously in this alternate universe, as we saw in the alternate universe in Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness, where they made reference to it when Carol went back to visit Maria Rambeau and Maria was sick. She goes, it just as easily could have been you that got this. It just as easily been you that got the powers. It was that race to the hangar. So in other realities, it was Maria Rambeau who got the powers of Captain Marvel, probably in the X-Men reality too, the Fox universe, I guess. So we'll see how that plays out in Deadpool. And that's the movie. I thought the post-credit sequences were fun, terrific. It'd be interesting to see how much they're going to incorporate the X-Men. I would have originally preferred the X-Men to kind of be organic, to be part of one universe rather than using the multiversal thing. But I think that's going to have to be the direction they're going to take. And obviously with Hugh Jackman coming back as Wolverine, that makes sense. You know, you got Kelsey Grammer coming back as the Beast. We've seen Patrick Stewart already reprise his role in a way as Professor X. The chemistry among the three leads was great. And any time Iman Vellani was on the screen, it was delightful. I loved her in Ms. Marvel. She has a wonderful energy. She is so winning. And without being annoying. And I said in the TV show, I loved the chemistry between her and her family, which I thought was genuine. But here, the parents, they had just far too much to do. Teyonah Parris was terrific in WandaVision. She is terrific here. Does a great job of being kind of no nonsense. And Brie Larson was as good as Captain Marvel. The only thing is sometimes whenever there's like, and maybe it's the way she's playing the character, whenever Captain Marvel is approached with something of a personal nature, she's kind of standoffish. Because remember, this is someone who doesn't really remember their past and hasn't really been good at maintaining the relationships in their life. You know, Maria Rambeau was her best friend, and she kind of left Earth for decades. She's maybe married to a prince, you know, so she's kind of been viewed as all powerful, and I wish they would have kind of explored the character more that way. The tonal shifts, as I said, there were times, and the three main drawbacks of the film were the more comedic, lighthearted tones, because I thought they didn't jive with the rest of the film, and you're just kind of sitting there going, are they really doing this? It was the musical planet of Aladana, which is destroyed very quickly. Everybody's dead, as near as we can tell. And, you know, after like a couple of minutes, they're just fine with it. Her parents just being omnipresent, you know. The people who are trained to work on the space station are fleeing in pods, and these guys are trying to herd the Flurkin. And that was the other problem. The Flurkin kittens, it wasn't necessary. I think they were trying to, you know, a lot of the Marvel movies trying to follow in this tone of Guardians of the Galaxy, which does a really good job because of the deftness of James Gunn as a director of being able to mix the comedic, the bizarre, the serious, and the action all together. You got to have just the right touch, and I don't think that they had the right touch in this film for those more comedic moments, because they were there, they were lighthearted, and they were silly, and there was no sense of kind of, you know, kind of almost like awkward humor, like the whole thing where Drax thinks that he's invisible just because he's standing really still. That, you know, it's at a counterplay with what's going on, and it's almost like a breath of fresh air. You have to release that laughter where everything is getting really serious. But here it's like there's a more lighthearted comedic segment, and then boom, there's tragedy, and it just is too quick, jarring an adjustment for that. I wasn't really drawn in by the antagonist Dar-Ben. I understood the motivations, but it was also the character was played as very arch, right? Whereas if the character had the intentions of helping her own people, the Kree, right, then there would have been more redeeming qualities of the character throughout. You would have maybe understood her motivations, but here it just seemed like to enjoy the destruction that she has wrought a little bit too much. I'm not sure Samuel L. Jackson was given quite enough to do. Because you got Samuel L. Jackson there. You should probably give him a little bit more. The action sequences were fine, and I did think that there was a lot of fun in the choreography of the quantum entanglements. And, you know, what it sets up. I mean, now, because Valkyrie comes when they take the surviving Skrulls off the refugee planet, she goes, I have a friend who can help us out. So she calls Valkyrie. Rainbow Bridge appears. She's like, yeah, come with me. Boom. We imagine they're going back to like Norway and New Asgard. So now you have a whole new enclave of Skrulls on Earth. Are they going to appear to be humans / Asgardians? I'm not sure. And are we going to continue to follow up on that? And where does that leave us? Young Avengers is set into motion, which I think is kind of fun. I think one of the weaknesses of Phase 4 was that there was no culminating Avengers film. So you had all these characters that were introduced that we haven't followed up on. And we haven't followed up on the post-credit sequences. We haven't heard anything about Dane Whitman or Pip the Troll or some of those Eternals post-credits. We haven't seen Shang-Chi. I think if they had an Avengers film, and maybe even if this Avengers team was defeated by Kang or something, where if you took some of the new characters, the Shang-Chi's and the She-Hulks, etc., we brought Ms. Marvel into this one now. And I think that aspect of it worked. All in all, I probably give the film 3 stars, but marginal 3 stars. Wasn't one of the better Marvel films. It wasn't a bad film by any means. Was not a bad film. And as I said, there was stuff I loved. And I think it was really saved by the post-credit sequences. Those were great. I just wish that they had fleshed out the relationships there a little bit more. The Monica Carol relationship had given a little more time to that. And really explore Carol Danvers more. I think that's one of the shortcomings so far is here's someone who didn't know for a long time that they were from Earth, has these extraordinary powers and this great responsibility. All of that's hinted at, but not really carried out in the end. So I would say see the film. It's a fun film. I mean, if you want to wait for Disney Plus, fine. But I kind of get frustrated by all the people who keep complaining about every movie and every TV show that comes out. And meanwhile, if think back long enough to when we had Ghost Rider 2. Okay. Some of historically, some of the terrible superhero movies we had throughout the 90s into the early 2000s. So be thankful. Yeah, there was Elektra, right? There was Man-Thing. Punisher Warzone. Some people like that. I did not. So, yeah, be thankful for what you got. And the fact of the matter is, I don't think we're scheduled to see a Marvel film in 2024, right? An MCU film is not on the horizon. I mean, we are getting Echo, which is only tangentially related. Deadpool 3 is has a release date of July 2024, and then Captain America: Brave New World, February of 2025. I think the Deadpool 3 release date is aspirational, considering they haven't filmed photography yet. And then 2025 is, got Fantastic Four, Thunderbolts, and Blade. And a lot of projects that haven't landed. We're still completely uncertain of what will be next. As it is, we're going to... we got Echo coming in 2024 on January. And then the next thing after that is Agatha Darkhold Diaries. And then after that, Ironheart, Daredevil Born Again. Daredevil Born Again's being reworked. And there's a lot of stuff. What If, I think, is coming out sooner rather than later. That should be... Oh, actually, that's coming out at the end of the year. Late December. So we will get What If. That should be fun and give us a lot of possibilities going forward. We'll see. I think as a fan, something that we were lacking in a lot of the films leading up to, in the Phase 4 films was... although Eternals had it, is getting us excited about something that's upcoming in the MCU. And here we're getting, X-Men and Young Avengers. So stuff to get excited about. If you've seen the film, let me know. Again, we're obviously full of spoilers, but I enjoy the film. Didn't love it. Like I said, loved aspects of it. Did not like other aspects of it. So, yeah, I think it was worth the watch. I'm going to take my kids to see it again this evening. and see their perspective on it. I think they will enjoy it because, you know, they like the Ms. Marvel series, and the movie starts off very much in that tone. So we'll see. Anyway, and this is Jim saying until next time, enjoy your comics.